No? Okay. So I can't hear myself if I've got both in. So whenever you're ready, we'll do, okay. Whenever you're ready, we'll do this. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Hello, Ottawa. Welcome to our, it's up already, our October meetup. Normally, we meet the third Wednesday of every month, except when we don't. And when we don't, it's usually because there's something special going on. But I'll get to that. I'm just going to say a few things about this chapter, and then I'll introduce our speaker. So first question, yes, there is a quiz. Who has not been here before? Am I in the right room? Well, welcome. Do you have a question? Right off? Oh, right off the bat. Okay. So we meet monthly and talk about security things. We are open. If you've got an idea for a presentation on security, we want to hear it. I'll just sort of rattle through these things. We have a website which has information about the chapter. The QR code will not try to sell you Bitcoin. You'll find links to our social media, how you submit a talk, and some of our events. Next slide, please. There are perks with becoming a member. This is all free. We will never charge. But if you do decide to become a member, you get a certain number of perks. And there is a list here that you can look at later beyond getting access to training and Google Workspaces and other things. If you want to speak, well, we take all kinds of presentations. It can be a 15-minute lightning speech for, if you've got something quick to speak or you're just getting into speaking in front of people. It could be 30 minutes. It could be an hour. So if you have an idea for a talk, we try to accommodate all formats. Yes, we are on anti-social media. We got rid of Twitter because I just didn't want to have a shower every time I logged on. So we also have a Slack channel. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Mastodon as well as Blue Sky. And there is our Blue Sky link. We have a Slack now. OWASP, the foundation, has a Slack, but we were there first, so we're sort of proud of that. So we're going to keep our own Slack channels. So we've got a number of different channels, including jobs and technology. When is our next event? And. Of which one is a jobs channel. So people post jobs, people look for jobs, that sort of thing. Typically in the security field. There are events in the foundation that are continually occurring, including conferences and other sort of more general international events. If you've got nerves of steel and want to go through U.S. Customs Services, there is a conference in Washington, D.C., November 3rd to 7th. If you show up wearing fatigues, maybe they'll let you in. I think we've already seen that one. I had this feeling of deja vu there. All right. This wouldn't all happen if we didn't have volunteers. So if you're a volunteer, raise your hand. So if you have any questions about the chapter, ask them. OWASP is also not just events, but projects. So who here has heard of the OWASP Top 10? So there are other projects. One of my favorites is Juice Shop. Who's heard of Juice Shop? Wow, you are my people. The Juice Shop is a pre-designed vulnerable testing environment, and we'll be actually talking about that in an upcoming workshop. My other favorite one is Amass, which is an open source intelligence tool. So when you're doing your recon, it pulls out a great amount of information. I think we've said we meet here. Clearly you found it. Third Wednesday, except when we don't. So as with all the different projects, there are new projects, and one of them, and I don't know why, it seems to be about AI. I don't know what the buzz is. So what was the first invention after the airplane? Any takers? The airplane crash. And with AI, we're going to have, obviously, AI security issues. So the OWASP Top 10 is looking for a few good people to help contribute to that project. Wow, this really is the deja vu slide deck. So I mentioned a workshop. We also, in addition to having these monthly talks, we also do workshops. We're doing a workshop on the 18th of this month. It's Saturday. It's in this room. It goes from 10 to 2. It will be a beginner guided pen test or application pen test workshop. You do need a ticket just so we can manage numbers and know how much pizza to order. There is, if you cannot get a ticket, there is a wait list, and I will be harassing people to say, well, if you can't make it, give up your ticket or else. And just one other thing about that, we'll thank Packet Labs for helping sponsor that event. These are the general OWASP events coming up, including in Bangalore, LastCon in Texas. We've mentioned Global AppSec in DC, Uruguay, and Benelux, which is in Belgium, I think. Want to help out? We always need a hand. If you want to, save me from talking, you can volunteer to MC as well. That's always great. So reach out to us at that email or on Slack. We also take contributions of swag. Does your company have piles of swag that they can't get rid of? We'll take it. Thanks to our sponsor, particularly, well, not in particular, but thanks to University of Ottawa for providing this space. Thanks to Rewind for the pizza today, Managerist Partners who helps with the beverages, Packet Labs who's helping with the workshop. Mentioned the website. This is kind of what it looks like. So if you go somewhere else, beware. And now finally, I'm at the end of this. Everybody take a big sigh of relief. In a way, I'm kind of welcoming home Tanya, because when I started volunteering, she was the lead for this chapter. And so she, was very welcoming, helped me, talking in front of people, telling really, really crappy jokes. So it's really nice we to have back home, back in the inner sanctum. But you'll know her as being an award-winning author, also known as She Hacks Purple. And so I can't memorize this entire rap list here. You're currently the CEO and secure coding trainer at She Hacks Purple. So She Hacks Purple is a corporation or an organization. You've been working in this industry, I don't know, is it safe to say, 28 years, or 28 years in IT security. You probably have air miles to die for in terms of flying all over the world. And you had the online We Hack Purple and SEMGREP Academy. So you're an advisor to Smithy and Catalyst, a board member for the Forte Group, founder of We Hack Purple, and OWASP DevSlop, which is another OWASP project. You created Cyber Mentoring Monday hashtag. I see those, and you're involved with, and you're creator of, or is that, yeah, where am I going with this? You're involved with WOSEC, with Women in Security. So today you're going to talk to us about policy. So please welcome Tanya Janca.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanya. Hi, thanks for coming. Today I want to talk, there we go, that's me, what's up? I want to talk about how I feel that secure code is critical infrastructure. So I'm hearing a replay of my voice right after I talk. That's just, it's happening and that's the deal. Because maybe if I do that, so that's better. Can you still hear me? Perfect. Okay. So I muted my thing and now I'm not hearing myself every time. It's confusing. So I worked for the Canadian government for 13 and a half years and I tried to convince them to change and they weren't into it. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit and then I'm just going to volunteer and annoy them and work for them for free and that'll totally show them. You can be the judge of how that's going. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what happens when a private citizen wants their government to improve their software security, but she's really chirpy and loud about it. It's a bit of a journey. And then I'm going to talk about what you can do to get your government to improve. Is everyone here a Canadian or a permanent resident or a person that lives in Canada? That's cool. Because that's not always the case when I talk to people. So all of you can talk to Canada and be like, hey, what's up? And then I'm going to ask you to help me with my journey. Plus, I'm going to give you a copy of the secure coding policy and the guideline version. So one's like really pretty and it's PDF and the other one's just a Word document. This is where I keep my clouds. I feel the need to be silly from time to time. But anyway, so who am I? I'm Tanya. This is the mandatory about me slide where I'm like, I swear I'm competent. I don't do that anymore. This is really old. Some of these things are true, but some of them aren't. Yeah, I do a lot of things. I work for myself now. I give secure coding training and I write books and I do a lot of stuff. But hopefully you're like, she seems pretty tolerable. That's the takeaway. So I want to talk about policy. So this is interesting. So I started writing the government like as soon as I left. I don't know what to say. I'm just like, I'm not satisfied with the security. And I started writing CRA. I'm like, it's not okay that when I log into my CRA account, the terms of service I must accept, which you must accept. Who's like, I'm gonna opt out of doing my taxes. We can't do that. Then you go to jail. So you have to opt in. The terms of service for CRA are, if they lose your data, it's not their problem because the internet's not very safe and they're totally doing everything they can. And I felt that was not acceptable. So I wrote them a letter, and by a letter, I mean a whole bunch. And then I wrote the Prime Minister's office, and it's just like this giant pain. And they stonewalled me and ignored me. I went and I met with their CIO, and by that I mean I like ambushed him at a conference, but I was really polite. I did all sorts of things to try to get their attention. I went on Risky Business. I wrote blogs. I really tried, and CRA was like, I'm gonna ignore you. And so I was like, let's go higher. And so if I could get the government to make a policy that says the thing I want, they might change. And I don't know how many of you have ever just been like, I can't sleep so bad, so I'm going to read all of NIST. Or I'm going to read all the documents. I'm going to look at the government's webpage. I'm going to do all the things. So I went and I looked, and there's no guidance from Canada that is public. about how to create secure software. You should probably secure your dependencies. And you should do secure by design, and that's all it says. What does that mean? And so I want a thing that's extremely explicit of exactly how to create secure software. So I wrote a thing that has 80 things that I want you to do to make sure our software is secure. And I'm not allowed to comment about things that happened while I worked for the government, but I am allowed to be very loud about everything that has happened since. So why does policy matter? So I feel that software runs our country. All the things that the government does, if they don't have the software, it won't work. Like none of the departments could work if all their software went down. And the fact that our software isn't as secure as I feel it should be means that we have some risk. And I feel that the risk's not acceptable. Secure code can protect our democracy, protect our privacy, protect literally the safety of our nation. And right now, software developers are graduating from Ottawa U with no secure coding training. Across Canada, across the world, one university told me that they have one, so I've heard once of one university that has an intro to AppSec class, one ever. And I've been like whining about it very publicly. So people would tell me there's no secure coding class that I'm aware of at a single university. This is a problem. This sucks. I want every single software developer to learn how to do the right thing. Vibe coding's not helping, actually. You thought it would, but it didn't. We're doing a great job with the AI, as you can see, the spelling. So I feel policy is important. It offers guidance. So one of my friends, his name's Adam Shostak. He's all writing of books and being brilliant and amazing. And he's like, Tanya, I don't agree. I don't think you need to give really super prescriptive advice. And I'm like, well, your country's been giving super high level advice of how to create secure software. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and then have you seen any problems? He's like, you know what? I take back what I said earlier. I'm like, if we're not very specific about what we want, we're going to get something that's not necessarily what we want. If we have a policy, it's something we can hold people accountable to. Because right now, when I write the CRA, so I worked at CRA. I wrote their web app security policy. They're not following it unless they grossly downgraded it since I left. In which case, there's a different thing happening that I'm upset about also. But I doubt that they did. I doubt that they rewrote it. And so I know for a fact they're not following it because I worked there and I wrote it. But I know most of them don't have anything. And that means we can't hold them accountable. And I was trying to hold CRA accountable. I wrote the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister's office was like, write them back. They wrote me back and said, we can't tell you anything because of security. And I'm like, it helps us maintain our critical infrastructure. There's so many things. So I'm going to tell you about the current landscape in Canada, according to me, in the internet. I have not included anything from public servants that squealed, because that's rude. So current landscape, there's no secure coding policy they must follow. There's no government-wide vulnerability, a place where you can report a vulnerability. There's no bug bounty, there's no responsible disclosure, coordinated disclosure, whatever, there's nothing. So if you are a member of the public and you're like, hey, I found this huge, giant, scary, terrifying bug, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just like, and I used to have this friend named John O'Brien, and I just report them to him, and he would go figure it out. And then he quit, and Microsoft stole him. And now there's no one that I know to report to. There's no government-wide education on this topic. There's very limited online guidance from the CCCS, which in my notes that I can't see, it's like, yes, thank you very much, you rock. And they're part of CSEC, which stands for Communication Security Establishment Canada. So basically, like the cybers have like a more friendly cyber group underneath them, but they're not covering secure code. They're covering a lot of things. They're doing important stuff. They're doing a whole bunch of good work, and I'm complaining that there's more work I need them to do. So they released the Software Security Code of Practice, and it sucks. It's not mandatory. There's only 4 things that refer to code. You would think that the thing, because it says code in the title, right? It'd be about code. It's not. All the 4 things are super high level. It very briefly says you should do a secure system development lifecycle and you should do secure by design. It gives 0 examples, 0 instructions. You would have no idea what to do with this document if I read it. It focuses on processes over details. It's not specific. No one could take it and then implement it. That is not good enough for me. There's security considerations when using open source software. This is slightly more detailed, but not mandatory. And it suggests you should create a software bill of materials, which is nice. It does not suggest you could do software composition analysis, which means find out if those things in your software have vulnerabilities. It covers zero scaling. Everything it talks about is manual and extraordinarily expensive and stuff that no modern company could do. So I don't like it. It's pretty good advice if we could add some automation to it. But in my opinion, it's incomplete as well. This one is another thing about software supply chain, not mandatory, better advice, more thorough, but still no scaling. Still everything described as manual. Still, let's not use automated tools and research from big companies that are looking into this. Not industry best practice, essentially. Really, really old advice I would give 15 years ago. So then this one's the best one. This one is advice to the public, security considerations for your website. I don't know how they got this on there. And it's very, very, very basic guidance, but it's good. It's for the public. It's not for the government. Government does not even need to ever read it. It's better than nothing. It does not mean so I have another talk I did called minimal viable security. It doesn't meet that. It's very, 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 very low, but it is the best thing that I could find on the public internet that they advise on. Okay, so the issues according to me. Thanks for listening to my rant. It's not the fact that people are not working hard. I worked in the government and I saw lots of really smart people there. Like really smart people who care, who are working hard. I know that like the image of a public servant is that they don't work hard, but I was there and I know that's not true. There are some of them, there are bad examples, but a lot of them I saw were super smart. And it's not that there's not, okay, I already said that. And it's not that they're not, so my issue is that they're not focusing on software. We're doing the perimeter, we're doing, incident response, we're having a lot of incidents. We're doing a lot of things well, but we're just ignoring this one giant part of our attack surface. And software runs everything now. Everything runs software now. And we're kind of like, YOLO. And that is my problem. We have, in Canada, it's estimated 1.3 million tech workers, and over half of the 1.3 are supposed to be devs. So that's around 600,000 software developers in Canada on estimate. And we're not teaching them anything about security. We're giving them zero guidance. And imagine for a minute, we had electricians going to electrician school, and then we taught them nothing about safety. And then houses just burned down and people just died. That's what we're doing with software. We have had people die from software problems. It's not usually reported that way, but we have had deaths. And we've had people lose their savings and other things. Not okay. So the current strategy from CSEC. So they want to do some public-private partnerships. That sounds really good. They want to do a certification, except for it has nothing to do with software. They want to do consumer protection, but it's only for IoT. I'm not sure what that's about. They want to do research and talent development. They're working with one university in Alberta, and none of it has to do with software, what they're doing. And I'm glad they're doing something. I'm glad we're improving. I don't feel I feel there's this big thing missing. Okay, they're doing a lot. I feel there's this big spot that they've missed and I don't understand. And I'm trying really hard to point it out to them. And by I mean in all the documents and all the research I've done, and I've been giving this talk, so I gave this talk at DEF CON this summer, I gave it in Toronto at Sector last week. I've been just giving it online and just being a giant pain in the ass for long before this. But now I'm this is all the stupid stuff I've done combined. And I'm trying to get some movement here. I would enjoy being proven wrong. So if you know that there's something I've missed, please tell me. So far, every time someone tells me, they are incorrect, but I would like to be the wrong one. So if you know that there is a thing from one of the government agencies, please tell me. I've had people tell me from many departments, including the cybers department, we don't got that, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so why am I upset? So CRA had a million breaches. Like a million. And I pick on them because it's fun. And they're such an easy target. In 2025, there was a CBC article. Did anyone see this? Okay, first of all, does anyone know what a breach is? So a breach is where like someone has broken in and usually stolen something or broken something. A material breach. Gareth, could you help me define a material breach and why it's like so much worse? Like from a lawyer perspective, if something is material, it means it could change your entire company. It could put you out of business. Your customers or clients or citizens are affected. A material breach is like this compared to a normal breach. CRA had 42 material breaches that they hid from the public, and it was discovered in 2025. I want to see heads roll. I'm upset. There are also a class action lawsuit against them for negligence. 2 of my 4 parents were in one of their data breaches and now have credit monitoring for the rest of their lives. Their terms of service, which I already told you about, are not acceptable. I tried writing them for years and they just won't. We need change. Okay, so in general, like the government's just having so many. So when you see a data breach, there's so much more. Like I just put like the top ones I found on the first page of Google. It goes on and on and on. These ones that are on here are ones that they legally had to tell you about. They don't have to tell you about like 98% of them legally. And do you think that they're telling us? I don't think they are. Like if there is a breach that isn't citizen data, they don't have to tell us. If it's not material, and who decides if it's material? The lawyer that works there. Yeah. So there's also like, because I've done incident response and I have only once had to report on what happened legally. And the rest of the time we were allowed to not tell. And so I fear it's much worse than the newspapers are telling us. And that's not because people in the GC told me, it's because that's what I think. I'm unable to comment on what I experienced during my 13.5 years of service. I resigned in February 2018 and have been a pain in the ass since. So what have I done to try to make things better? Because if you whine about something, you must have, I feel you have to try to help. You don't get to complain until you try to help. So I send letters. Oh, why is that in front? Just a second. Can I like minimize this and fix this, or am I going to screw everything up? I'm probably going to break it, aren't I? Okay, so I've been volunteering with ICTC, adding cyber to the high school curriculum. The ethical hacker lesson in one of our textbooks. Helped arrange to have hackers go into schools across Canada multiple years for career day. So kids could see this is a job. I've helped promote Cyber Titan and other high school activities to try to get kids into cyber. And I've guest lectured at universities and colleges across Canada and around the world for free. And I send letters because I apparently have no life. Oh, and the last one is I sold one of my companies and then made all of my classes available for free for the whole world, including secure coding and how to build an AppSec program. So what do you think happened when I went public with all the things I've been doing? What do you think the government did? Nothing. Who said nothing? You win. You're awesome. Pardon? They just ignored me. They've ignored me over and over again. It doesn't matter where I talk or what I do, they just ignore me. I was hoping that they would get upset and come talk to me. So, sorry, pardon? I mean, if I had, well, but then I just put it on my blog and post for photos with it, probably. Such a jackass. Okay, so I've been lobbying. So I'm like, I'm going to play their game. I contacted CRA. I wrote letters to the Prime Minister's office. I wrote a blog post. I went on a very popular podcast. I posted on social media. I gave a speech in Ottawa. I've given multiple speeches now in Ottawa on this topic. I tried back channels because I was like, maybe that could work because I knew a lot of people. I went to a conference where I knew the head of CRA's IT would be there, and I like kind of cornered him and was like, please, I need your help. And partway through the conversation, I'm like, you're not even following your own web app security policy. He's like, how would you know that? I'm like, I wrote it when I worked for you. And he's like, this conversation's going to suck. I'm like, I'm sorry. I care so badly and I want you to care. So I wrote this free policy and I started sending it to them. They have a lot of copies now. I was working with my member of parliament. His name was Alistair McGregor, and he was awesome. And we were really dumb and we voted him out. And I was very sad. Him and I did this letter writing campaign, and we wrote letters to DMD, to shared services, to all sorts of places. And then he got voted out. And I'm attempting to work with my new MP, and I just got an appointment with him that is in a couple weeks from now. So he had ignored me until about 3 days ago. So that changed. And there is another MP, Katrina Gould, and she, well, not her, but her staff member's been writing me back, and I'm trying to trick her into getting a meeting with me. So we'll see how that goes. I just keep writing letters, and I approached Treasury Board in person because they were at B-Sides Ottawa last year, and I was there, and they were like, oh, change is hard, so we just won't. I'm like, but you literally write policies. That's what you do. That's your job. You write the government policies. Like, I'll write it for you. And they're just like, nah. So the policy, what is it? So it includes, so this here is for a gated version that's really pretty with pictures. And then later there'll be one that's not gated. And by gated, I mean, I ask you to join my newsletter that is free. And then I just keep giving you stuff like this. So you can take that one, or you could take the other one that will be in a few slides. But it's 9 pages of actionable advice, 80 things that a software developer can read and understand. So it's non-cyber speak, and then go do. The guidance is agnostic, meaning it applies to any language, any framework, whatever you are building. And because of that, there's a lot of may or should. And I know a policy is always shall and will. But in order to make a thing that could apply to literally anyone in any organization, I had to be a little more flexible than you would be. So there's QR code. And so this is the link that I give, securecodingguideline.com. Seems like not so bad. And as soon as the phones are down, we'll go to the next one, and I'll give you more QR codes. I really like QR codes. So what can you do to help? So you could call your MP. Most of them are really nice. And a lot of them answer, like, especially if you don't call them the day after the election, like I was doing. I'm like, Jeff, what's up? Congratulations. Do you have time tomorrow? He had to settle in a bit, which is super reasonable. And he's totally willing to meet with me now. And he already met with my friend Kyle, who told him, you have to meet with Tanya. And he's like, okay, when? They want to help. You could use my policy as a template to suggest change where you work. A lot of people are taking this to work. Please do. Please use my work. You could use my template letter that I'm going to give you in the next slide to contact your government official. So let's say you're like, I don't want to make a phone call. Ooh, other humans. I don't know about that. You could just write a letter and put it in the mail and be like, no contact. You could push for educational reform. So we are in a university. I would love it if universities would teach secure coding. I would love it. I have written multiple books. I want them to teach the books. I know that I'm biased because then I make like 4 cents off each book, but I really want people to learn. You really don't make money from writing a book. Just FYI. We could apply public pressure. So I'm the only one annoying these departments, so they can ignore me. If lots of us bugged them, it would be very different. You could tell social media how you feel, right? So this is the one to take the picture of. So the left is the letter. So it's a template letter that you could send if you wanted to. The middle is the policy, and there's no gates on it. And then the last one is a petition. So I'm doing a petition, and it's a general petition. Basically, I'm gathering names so that when I do the House of Commons petition, which I need an MP to support, then I have a bunch of people that can sign it for me. I'd love it if you would sign the petition. That would be so great. I can't see what my next slide is, so I'm afraid to press the button because I'm not sure if there's more words on this slide or if it's going to disappear, and I don't want to ruin anyone's jam. Okay. It does. Yeah, so I have 2 MPs on the hook right now, so I don't think I need help with this. I think one of them is going to tolerate my crap. And really, actually, ideally, if we had a bunch of MPs, so basically what happened, so my stepfather was a political analyst forever. And he's like, you're going to get this petition. And then what happens is question period. So if I get the 500 signatures and I jump through 1,000 hoops, then during question period, that MP will stand up and be like, oh, I have this petition about secure coding policy for federal public servants. Like, what do we think? And then all the other MPs are like, but if you had called your MP, they might be like, yeah, I'll second that. Or they might be like, let's talk about it. And maybe something could happen. So this is for you to decide. Okay, so this is where you can just download the Word document of it, and an elephant because I think they're really cute. And then, so what have we learned? So we learned why I feel that policy really matters. Without a policy, there's no accountability. The current security policy in Canada, or complete lack thereof, the current poor security landscape in Canada, according to Tanya and the internet, not according to inside sources who are more knowledgeable, what I have done to be annoying, and what you could do to help. And also a free copy of the policy and some templates to try to convince you to take action. And with that, I wanted to give you a couple resources that might be helpful. So I wrote books, and me and my mom think they're pretty good. Obviously, we're not biased. So if you write code, the yellow one could help you. And then if you want to build a security program or become an application security professional, the purple one is probably the one you would want. I'm just going to wait until the phones are down to do the next thing. And then we have a newsletter. It is free. In it, I put things like this policy, my petition, where I'm going to be, like here, I release silly videos. Sometimes I make music videos. Like I just do all sorts of stuff. And then this is all the things. So we have the template again, the policy again, the petition again, and then just other QR codes that are stuff that I did. And this is my whole talk. And so I'd like to thank you very much for tolerating my 30-minute rant. Do we have any questions? Oh, thank you. So for those at home, it was more like a comment, and where did you say you work, or you're not allowed? You work at an agency. So, pardon? The Crown Agency, and that they have security champions, which is awesome, and that my content's been helpful. Thank you very much. In the documentation, yeah. Ooh, that's such a good question. So for those at home, you know, when I was talking about the supply chain security thing, none of the things I felt were scalable. They didn't mention automation. And to me, then that means it's unaffordable. And the question is like, do you think that that means that it's a liability? Or maybe they consider it a liability or a risk. So I'd never thought of that. I assumed that someone wrote that like 15 years ago, or that someone wrote it where, so in CSE, they have all these super smart people. And from what I understand, they build a lot of their own tools to automate things, and that they build really cool stuff. This is what I have heard. And so they probably just built their own cool, awesome thing. And they're like, why don't you guys do that? It's like, because we can't afford it, because we don't have you smarty pantses. So I suspect that they're just living on another planet than the rest of us with, like, it's like when I worked at Microsoft, they just built their own fuzzer. They just built their own DevOps pipeline. They just built their own thing. And like, they're so smart and they have so much money they can. Yeah. Okay, this is such a good point. So for those at home, so some of these places are caring for very elderly applications, some of which aren't webby, and a lot of my advice is webby. A lot of it is because that is the main attack vector. Those are the things that get destroyed the most. And so like maybe they don't even have a CI. They don't have any automation options. They're doing things such an old way. How could they possibly do this? So with every single security policy, there are people that get exceptions. Yeah. So the question was, yeah, so this only covers the creation and maintenance of custom built software. So it doesn't cover software as a service, which still is an issue for sure, but I'm way less concerned about it than this. I still think we want to have a policy on this for sure, 110%. And integration points are the funnest part to get in. I agree with you. But this is more like I'm going to build something from scratch and I want to give them something to work with. And if you're going to build like a Windows format, a lot of this won't apply. I agree with you. But the parts that do apply, that would be good. Great questions. Thank you.
Policy and I just scroll down
80. Mm-hmm.
All of those different points, all of which has perspective if you are able to share this. So whether there is no policy or there is some unclear advice, no idea how to follow any of that. Executive side.
I don't know how to summarize your question. So you're reviewing the policy. There are a lot of things. There's 80 things. 80 is a lot, right? In my first book, I just had 17, but then the internet got more dangerous. And also I learned new stuff. So what's the developer's opinion? So I teach secure coding all the time. That is my job now full time. But before that, I just did it once or twice a month. And I would say that almost all the time by the end of the training, the developers are like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. I finally know what to do. I felt really lost. A lot of them, I've never met the security team. I didn't know we had an AppSec person. They never gave me any tools. They just keep telling me I'm wrong, but they don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. I received that feedback a lot. And even when the security team's like super nice, they're just like, and so part of the reason why I wrote that was so that companies would adopt it. And so then people are like, what do you teach? I'm like, well, I teach that. Right? So usually that's my experience. Usually, I would say like maybe 15 or maybe 10, 15% of the time, the software developers hire me, but most of the time the security team hires me. So I'm coming in and I'm stranger danger and I'm being sent by the security team who only tells them they suck. And then usually by the end of the day, we're laughing. And usually by the end of the day, they're like, it's not so bad. And we talk about compromises. And at some point, every single training, someone asks me a question and there is a giant security incident happening. There's like a huge thing where like I was saying earlier, I'm like, that sounds like remote code execution as a service. No, but then we talk about it and we talk about like why it's not a good idea. And then I'm like, can we like draw this out and come up with something better during the break? We re-architect a thing and we fix a problem, right? And so it's funny because literally like the training client before last, I'm standing there at the end of the day and I'm talking to two devs and we're like nerding out. And then the security person came over and kind of started listening. And the devs were like, yeah, we don't know what to do because like we want to do security, we're excited, we want to do these things. But then they mark out our sprint and they're like, you have 16 weeks and you have to do these 5,000 things. And you can't be late or you'll die. And by the way, like halfway through the customer asks for more stuff and they're like, we want to have a sprint that's just for security. We want to have that security sprint. And the security person was like, well, you need to manage your own work and really it's your own fault and blah, blah. And then they both were like, thanks for the training. And I was like, I'm surprised that developers don't turn into diamonds with all the pressure that they face. But also going to work with the client more to help them with their security processes. And maybe we should not like just be like, it's your fault that I told you to do a bunch of extra stuff. So Yeah. So that was Treasury Board. So I used to work at Treasury Board too. And so I was like, what's up? They're like, hey. And I was like, I wrote this little policy. They're like, that's adorable. Because they're professional policy writers, right? They're really good at it. And I was like, I'd like to give it to you. And they're like, here's our email. And I'm like, what are the chances of us adopting it? They're like, pretty much 0. And I was like, why? And they're like, change is hard. And they're like, us as Treasury Board, making a brand new policy is hard. And I was like, why? And he's like, that's just the way the government is. People don't want to change. Like, I'll go tell people before you, Tanya, but no one's going to listen to me. And I was just like, what would make them want change? Sorry, I was supposed to repeat the question and I didn't. He was asking, when you talked to Treasury Board and they were saying change was hard, did they say why? And they didn't. And so what would make them want to change? Well, I was hoping that public embarrassment would work. Be honest. I have these friends named Troy Hunt and Scott Helm, and they made a site called Why No HTTPS. And it was just the top 100 websites on the internet that weren't forcing HTTPS. And Alibaba was at the top. And they're like, Alibaba, shame on you. Troy and Scott think you suck. And they're just like annoy them and embarrass them. And the hundreds kept coming off the list. And they're like, it works. Embarrassment works. It's not working that well for me, but I'm gonna work on it. I want to do you and then you and then you, if that's cool. Jeff and Katrina.
They want ammunition and they want to make a fiasco in the media. And usually people get timing with upcoming incident, let's say. Definitely want to get in touch with them. And be.
Yeah.
Because these guys both, especially the conservatives,
yeah, so one's a conservative, Jeff's a conservative.
Okay, because they love a bit of a media spectacle.
Yeah.
They can get some that might get them. In the government, though, what they get it with sort of a shared service. Shared services for giving them software. There is nobody in shared services that's actually, because to me, that would be the perfect place for security.
Yeah. It is where the Security Operations Center is for the whole government. And I've been sending them letters. They've been sending them letters and emails.
By default, you should have that, as well as CSEC. Raising the alarm all the time.
We wrote them letters too. So I've been writing shared services for a while. I just started annoying CSEC. Because in my opinion, they know what they're doing. I just want them to spread the knowledge and get everyone else to do the right thing. I'm just like, please don't keep all your smartness to yourself.
Because it's getting scary now. I hear corporations or other governments have very seconds or milliseconds to react.
When Biden came to visit Trudeau, he lectured him that they're going to stop sharing secrets with us because our security was so pathetic and that people were getting out of America via us. And I was like, that's what attackers do. If one company is going to buy another company, you attack the little baby company and get into the big one. It works like a charm.
Oh yeah, because that's a resource.
There's someone at the back. So the question at the back is, why do you think Canadians don't care enough to put pressure on the political system? I think that Canadians in general are experts at whatever they are experts at, and most of them, it's not cyber, and so that they're just unaware. I think that like there's only so many cyber nerds, and that some of us are like, wow, that's not very good. And I think some of us are the type to call our MP, and some of us aren't. Some of us are a squeaky wheel, some of us aren't. And so, yeah, Yeah, that we would be, he's saying that we would be a smaller target than the United States, or like if you look at the Five Eyes, we're the irrelevant one, generally, politically, economically, generally, we're like hierarchy or Canada. But like we have a GDP, we have money, we have things, right? We have innovations, etc. Like we have things worth protecting, like the people in this room. So I don't think it's that Canadians don't care. I think that the average Canadian is completely unaware. Like I went to Starbucks with my mom. I love my mom. She's the best. She's super smart. And she was like, oh, I don't connect to Starbucks Wi-Fi because it's unencrypted. I'm like, oh, it used to be, but now it's encrypted. So awesome, but old lesson, right? And I'm like, the whole internet's actually encrypted now, thanks to some people at Google that just wouldn't let that go. And they just embarrassed everyone until it's like, well, you can't go to this website because it's not encrypted and they're losers. You don't want to visit those guys. And basically a bunch of guys at Chrome just like pushed and pushed and pushed, like this guy named Lucas. And I've seen him speak at conferences. He's super brilliant and shy, and he just wouldn't let it go. And now we all get encrypted network all the time, right? People like him, people like Roy and Scott and other people. Like the Canadian government in 2015 issued a thing that said HTTPS everywhere. We're only going to use encrypted channels from now on. It took a long time for the rest of the government to do it. But like we can do it if we want change. So I think people just don't know. There was another person, you, and then you, sorry, which she had her. I literally just showed you. You don't have to know it already.
So one question. One is, are we talking about network, not what's
Oh, okay. Oh. So what I want is that this policy would be applied to all new software and all currently existing software that is in production. That's what I would like. Am I going to get it? No, but that's what I would like. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the thought that I'm having. Everybody's been trying to do things top down,
Mhm.
and the security teams and the tech teams, everybody's trying to do things. There is a layer.
Mhm.
That are happening right in the cloud.
Mhm.
And that group has been actually talk with security writing business requirements.
In the government specifically or in general?
And worked in
Okay. Okay.
in different
Mhm.
program project delivery and not operationalization, just delivery. So what I've learned in the last years in cyber curious today is if you teach the middle
Mhm.
basic cybersecurity practices, we're going to think about it.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at your policy, and those items are translatable into business
Mhm.
that we can keep thorough. I think it's not going to solve the
Mhm.
but there's that little layer
Mhm.
that is a potential to make it happen. Right now, nothing. Thank you.
Yeah.
But that disconnect in cybersecurity people that you're doing,
Yeah.
and speak business.
Mhm.
That's why I say.
Okay, so to summarize for everyone that might not have heard, especially those at home, and I'm not going to do it perfect justice, but she's like, if you've been trying top down and you've been trying bottom up and it is not working, what if you start in the middle and specifically with adding security requirements to business projects? And yeah, I love it. In my first book, I had a chapter where it's like, these are the business requirements to add to your project for a secure web app. And then I published them on the internet because I'm like that. And so I absolutely like just, even if people just picked 5 of the things and added it to their project requirements, I'd be like, yes. Mhm. Mhm.
Business analysts, we're going, oh, hey, we can do this too.
Mhm.
So when you
Mhm.
we didn't even know.
Mhm.
So we weren't.
Yeah, I know.
Now we
I hope so. This month, October, is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and so there are cybersecurity teams everywhere trying to make all of the staff more aware of their thing. And so maybe this is a thing. They should be like, these are project requirements we would like. Mhm.
working with your group. That's right now.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Not saying don't do the top part.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
also try to
Mhm. As an individual who has bills to pay, I cannot harass the entire government. But I like the idea for those at home. She's saying like trying top down is one thing, but when they did ITSG 38, 22, so I remember 22. Yeah, I try to tell people in the United States, I'm like, you call it NIST, we call it ITSG, has some numbers. But yeah, I agree with you. Change is slow, but it would just be like even just cool if they emailed me back. That'd be a start. The conversation would be a cool start. Do we have any more questions?
So, one of the trying to
Mhm.
get into since was embarrassing. How do you, your feedback or reaction?
So great question. So for those at home, you're trying to embarrass them. I mean, what I'm trying to do is reach them, and then the embarrassment is just happening. So what if we tried, sorry, what has the reaction been from the media? So when I spoke to Risky Business, which is like a popular podcast for cyber about the CRA thing, I'm like, they've had like a zillion breaches, and then they're claiming, we're not responsible for any of your data because the internet is a really dangerous place. But also, we've done every single possible thing we can do. And I'm like, you don't even have your cookies set. You don't have any security headers. Like, you completely suck. Like, you haven't even pulled your pants on yet. And like, I immediately followed that with, I did not hack your site. I just did developer tools, view, source. That's all I did. And they were like, cool, come on and talk about it. And I was like, awesome. CBC wrote about it for me too, and a little bit. And then I was like, okay, that's done. Next news cycle. I feel like maybe when there's a big breach, if I could comment on such things, I've reached out to lots of them. I'm like, I am available for comment. And they're like, that's cool. Instead, we'll call like some dude whose retirement savings are gone now. And we'll quote him instead. And we'll see how sad he is. And then we'll be angry. And I'm like, but what if we talked about solutions? And I mean, you can be like, how about me? Only so many times, right? But so I find the media is like any cyber podcast, like, yeah, Tanya, come on, stop, we'll do it. But then all of us talk to each other who all already care. Yeah, and then we have a great echo chamber happening. It's awesome, but that's it. I brought two things to give away. And I was supposed to like pay attention to which question was the best, and I didn't do that. So one is a medium shirt, which is new, but I washed it. That's what I'm like. It is an OWASP shirt from Mother OWASP, and it's size medium. And so someone that it's going to fit is probably the person that wants it. Do we want to just be like, whoever would like to have it the most, put up your hand first? Let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, she was pretty fast. I'm sorry. But there's also a hat. And so I have to warn you that the hat is size small medium because I don't understand hats. But it is purple and is really cute. And it says GX purple on top. And so, okay, you over there, you put your hand up. Here's faster. Also, you put your hand up really fast for the last thing.
There is a question online.
Okay.
It's first great talk.
then what other means of pressure are you considering? Do you think submitting responsible disclosures to the Canadian government will help move things faster?
So there is no way to do a responsible disclosure or coordinated disclosure for the government. I used to just email my friend John, and then Microsoft recruited him because he's really smart. So it happens. So sometimes there's this lady named Poe that works at TBS. I used to email her. She's pretty busy. They keep promoting her. It's terrible. So if we are disclosing vulnerabilities, that tells one team one mistake they've made. I think it's worth doing. If you discover a vulnerability, please report it if you can figure out how to do that. But I don't know if that's the thing that will create the pressure. Other than like, because I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to speak at the biggest hacker conference in the whole world on the main stage. Like maybe they pay attention and like, so when the video comes out, I'll like put it on the internet. When this video comes out, I'll put it on the internet. I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to have more pressure other than, you know, trying to get MPs doing the petition, and then we'll see what happens with the petition, and just asking the public if they'll come along for the ride. Do you have ideas? I mean, it wasn't your question, but you asked it. Actually, how about you? I'm going to ask you to write that down after, because I won't remember.
Kind of like the security expert at the city newscasters down there.
Okay.
Or whatever. You might want to tell him about these because he might not know what CRA studies. It's mostly corporate stuff, but
Okay.
he's always contacted. Something happens.
Okay.
Usually with credit cards. We might want to get in touch with him because he has contacts and get the attention. Also, another guy at city. Mention city because I watched their newscaster just. I forget his name. He's science like expert that I always quote. Here, get his name.
Okay.
I remember.
Okay. I can give you a business card, and then you can email me when you remember.
Sure. Because that way you can get pressure. These new channels. CBC probably also has.
So I wrote a couple of the reporters from CBC and was like, hi, and they didn't write back. That's okay. I mean, they probably get that a lot. Yeah. Yes, there is a class action lawsuit against CRA for them losing something like 200,000 Canadians, like identities, essentially. And my parents are two of them. Yeah. And
CRA has your number.
They have, yeah. They have your medical records because if you do medical expenses, right, they have how much money you made, where you've worked, all the things. They have some personal data. Yeah. Unfortunately, sorry, bad news. Well, and now that's why they changed their terms of service so that you're theoretically not allowed to sue them. However, I would still try because it's completely like, because you go through jail if you don't do your taxes. There is no way to opt out of using their service. So then I have not actually accepted your terms. Because if there is a competitor, oh yeah, I think we'd all go visit the competitor. Thank you everyone very much. Oh wait, one more question. The Auditor General. No, not yet. Not that one. I wrote them. Yeah, I've written the Privacy Commissioner and made an official privacy complaint as well, which was ignored. But I haven't talked to the Auditor General. What do they do? Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to try to remember and write that down, and I'm going to see what they do and see if, like, I think that it's a good call. Do you share decks? Like, I'm happy to share the deck, but okay. You will, I will send it to you and you will figure out how the sharing happens. Cool. Awesome. Yes. It would be my pleasure to share. Thank you everyone very, very much. I appreciate you. So I'm going to stop sharing.